Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. You know, today I don't need to tell you the temperature. It's mid-July and here in Southwest Florida it's pretty warm and my orchids are loving it. What I want to do today is show you some of my Dendrobiums in my collection. I don't have that many of them, and a lot of them are blooming, and I don't even know the ID of many of the Dendrobiums that I have, but I just want to share with you some information on them because it's interesting. Now, I'm not crazy. This is not a Dendrobium here. I wanted to start out though today with I think this is a Guaratonia why not, I think. And I don't know for sure. What happened is, I'm getting a reputation in the neighborhood for being an orchid nut, and Tom down the street is selling his house and he's getting rid of stuff, and he had this plant that was mounted on a pergola outside his house. He didn't really know what it was other than it was an ever-blooming orchid. And I think I looked at it. He gave it to me before the bloom came out. And I'm sorry if you're getting dizzy with the plant blowing around in my front yard. It's hanging from a date palm, from one of the fronds on a date palm in my front yard. Anyway, Tom gave me this plant, and he didn't know what it was, and I just assumed before it was open. I assumed it was a Guaratonia, but after it opened, I'm not really sure what it is, to be honest. With the Guaratonias that I've seen, there's a little bit more yellow coloration I'm sorry, it's just moving so much, in the center of the bloom. And with this plant, I don't see too much of that. So if you think you know what it is, just kind of let me know in the comments. But you know, I don't turn down free orchids from the neighbors, and you know, I might be able to figure it out. If I don't know what it is, I probably won't be able to use it in my breeding program, but I like having it. Now, the interesting thing about this plant is that you look at what it's in, and it is in a basket, and this is just kind of sitting that's just a root mass that is sitting in the middle of this basket. So I'm going to keep it in here, and as you might imagine, the roots are grabbed on because I tried pulling it out. It would not move, and as long as it's growing and as well as it isn't doing as well as this, I'm going to leave it in there. And it's got some new pseudobulbs are coming out. This one right here, that I think there's another spike in that sheath, but we'll kind of see how these things go. So it's in a basket. Now, the reason that this is relevant is because I go below it, and okay, we're switching gears a little bit. So there is a Dendrobium down there, and there's actually two of them. So let's go take a closer look at this den, if I can. And this is pretty close to the ground. Actually, it's not close to the ground, it's on the ground, but there's a couple of different dens in here. So there's this one right here, and then there's another one right here. So I'm gonna zoom out and pull these things apart a little bit. So this is from a den right here on the right that is attached to my date palm right here, and this is a fairly large plant. It goes up maybe about 3 feet or a meter off the ground, and it's been in there for a while and it's doing well. Now this one, the other one that is right here, if you follow this down, it's on the ground, and this plant that's below it, this plant here, is actually on the ground, and I'm going to go and show you that this is exactly that. It's just loose, and the history behind this is this plant and the remnant here, this was growing on my date palm, my front date palm that is no longer here, And the crew, when they came in and took out this date palm, the front date palm, they just cut this out of it and handed it to me. And it hasn't been, it hasn't been put in anything yet. I just kind of threw it at the base of this plant, and then it grew out a new cane right here. It grew out the new cane is right here, and then it put out this flower. The flower came out of an old cane. All right, so this is, it's a nice plant. I just don't know what it is. And the reason I'm showing you this is because I'm probably going to put this in a basket like this because it's about the right size, and I think it'll do well in there. Okay, so let's take a look around my date palm here, and there's another Dendrobium right there. It's not blooming. I think there may be one down there, but then as we go over here a little bit more, there's another den blooming. And so this is probably, I'm looking at it, I think it's the same den as I showed you that was pulled out of the other date palm that was sitting in a piece of wood on the ground. And it's blooming again at about the same time. It's about the same color, and it's coming out of a plant that is just shoved in to my date palm here. Okay, so these are cold plants. They just kind of do well, and it's not fair, I know, that you can just shove these things on the trees. The roots, I can show you here, the roots kind of grab on, and that's how they grow here. It's not fair, but I'm living here, so it's just fine. All right, so that's what I want to show you. This, it's a really pretty plant. I just don't know what it is. What I want to do now is take you around the backyard and show you some other Dendrobiums that are blooming, show you some seed capsules, show you some burlap dens and how they're doing it. Just kind of give you a real quick tour of some of the Dendrobium action that I have in the plants that are in my backyard, which is my main collection. I don't have a whole lot of Dendrobiums. It's not what I focused on, but I want to show you a little bit of what I have. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, and we're back. And I'm sorry, I've shown you this a few times already, but it's just, this guy is just always blooming. So this is one of my huge Dendrobiums, and it always has just a lot of blooms, a lot of nice color, and the nice thing about, and this is Dendrobium mulang. The nice thing that I really like about this is there's fragrance. So I'm sitting underneath here, and this is an orchid that's about right now the flowers are about 5.5, 6 feet, a couple meters up above the ground. And as I'm looking at my orchids underneath here that are on the shelves underneath here, I can smell mulang, and it's kind of nice to have that. So let me show you though a little bit more of the plant as we take a look. So this is the cane that gave rise to it, and then as you go up in here, most of what you can see is mulang. I don't know if you can see how far up we're going up in the tree, but up in the bougainvillea. But so there's a spike, not a spike, I'm sorry, there's a cane back there. They're just, there's a lot of big pieces, the dendro, it's just huge. So this thing, the pot is right here, and this is about eye level for me, a little bit. It's about eye level for me. But then this goes up another 3 feet in the air. It goes about another 2.5 feet, 3 feet to the right. And as we follow this around, it goes about another 2 feet to the left. Now, what I want to show you here, if you take a look at it, and if we can see it behind the bougainvillea, is there are a couple of seed capsules on Dendrobium mulang, and there have been enough people that have commented that they really like this plant, so I selfed it, and these seed capsules are forming. It's going to take a little bit longer for these seed capsules to mature, but pretty soon I'll have a lot of progeny plants of mulang. And I've generated progeny plants in the past, and I've flasked the seed from these capsules. And actually, it's interesting. Just a few weeks ago, one of my colleagues sent me pictures of the first bloom that he had on his plant that was deflasked a little less, or I'm sorry, that was flasked. No, it was deflasked about 2.5 years ago, which means it was flasked about 3 years ago. All right, so, and I'm going to show you what that flower looks like. And so the interesting thing is the progeny of this, because it was self, they're going to look anything like, they're going to look between, you know, the parents, between, they're going to look similar to the parents maybe and everything in between. And this first flower really does look like some of the parents of mulang, and which is interesting, but you know, that's fine, and we'll see what kind of variation we get from that. Now, taking a look at this is, and this is my nursery, and some of my nursery dendrobiums are getting kind of big. So that one in the middle of the screen right there, that's a seedling, and all in the back row here, I'm sorry we can't see it that well, all in the back row, those are mostly Dendrobium seedlings that are right there. Here, if we take more of a look, that's another Dendrobium, and I've got dens and cats all mixed up together in here. So there's a Dendrobium, and right here is Dendrobium right here. This one, that's a den. As we move on, another Dendrobium right here. As we move to the lower shelf here, again a lot of Dendrobiums, and these are progeny. That one's shooting out the side here. These are progeny probably from mulang. Now what's interesting is this is, so right here, this plant, and right here, I'm going to zoom in and put my hand behind it. So yay, it looks like I'm going to get, can't see it. Still can't see it. All right, now. It looks like, I'm sorry about that. So that's another flower spike. So that's actually I've had a flower spike that came out of some of the dens, and one of my dens. And what happened is something happened and it didn't produce anything. This looks a whole lot better. So it looks like there's something good going on here, and hopefully I'll get some blooms from that Dendrobium. And that's my first one. So these guys, I don't know if you can tell, but these guys, here, and I got to do this. He's showing off for me right there. And now he decided to be quiet. Okay, anyway, these dens, and I think it's because they are progeny of mulang, they get pretty big. And I should also mention on the lower shelf, so that one right there in the middle of the screen, that's another progeny plant from the Dendrobium, probably mulang. I should mention that a lot of these first den progeny plants, these babies, I wasn't a good record keeper. I was just excited to be in the lab and doing stuff, and I just pushed some things through and didn't really keep good records of what parents I was using. That's all changed now, because you got to wait, you got to wait 3 years to get, to get some flowers on these guys. So anyway, these guys they're doing well, and they're getting big, and I'm hoping to get some flowers coming out on a lot of these really soon. I should also show you, I'm going back to the other part of my nursery. Back there, all those are dens in Dendrobium seedlings as well. And so these guys they're doing well. I'm going to get, I'm going to get some flowers, and I'm excited that I'm finally going to be able to see what these guys are looking like. And I'm also happy that I was able to do a self of the of mulang, and I'm going to be having, I think, just a ton of seeds from that. All right, so what I want to do now is I want to move on a little bit, and I'm going to move over to this second tree that I have here, and I want to show you what I think is not a progeny, but I think this is actually mulang. So let me get a better angle on this, and I don't know whether you can see it or not. So this I shoved this up in this tree a few years ago, and I think I might have put this up a couple of years ago, but the root system, you can see how massive the root system is on this Dendrobium. So it's doing really, it's really doing that very well. It isn't growing as well, but here, look at those roots. It isn't growing as well as what it can grow in a pot, but it's still growing really well. And it's to the point there that this spike isn't, or this cane is not 3 feet long, but it's big enough, and we're going to get some blooms on this pretty soon. So I'm pretty excited about that, and like I said, we'll see what these look like. I'm pretty sure also that this is mulang, so this is the same thing. The last thing that I want to show you in these Dendrobiums is I'm going to show you, and it might not be able to see these things very well, but these are burlap dens that I mounted in this tree maybe a month ago. But what I want you to see, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it, so there's a green root coming out of there right in the middle of the screen, and if you take a look over on this Dendrobium here, you may or may not be able to see the same thing. So this Dendrobium right here, I think, is all the roots are growing up on the trees. But so these things, again, these burlap dens, they look okay, everything is still living, but these are sitting on the back of this tree. They're getting good moisture, and I'm starting to see nice root growth. Now another one that I put on the tree is right here, and I'm going to show you this guy as best as I can. I'm not sure how well this is doing, but again, some more burlap dens right here. And they're alive, and they've been sitting on this tree maybe for about a month and a half, and I think they're starting to do well. Now the Phalaenopsis grow, the burlap boughs grow a lot better. Now I should say Pseudopodiums down here. So we'll see how these guys, I had so many of them, I just stick things everywhere. All right, so anyway, these Dendrobiums, they seem to be doing pretty well. So I'm happy with that, and we'll see really how they do. These things they're right above ground level, so I should be able to, they should be able to grow up a little bit, and as the canes grow up the tree, they should be able to, if they send out any roots from along the canes and keikis, they should be able to attach to this tree, which I think they'll do. But, again, these guys are doing pretty well, so overall I'm pretty happy with these. The last thing that I wanted to share with you is these guys. I don't know if you can tell how big they are, but they're not, I'm going to put my hand in here, they're not that big. So they're maybe, maybe a couple inches long. Although the burlap dens that I have here, it resulted from a cross between mulang and I think the other parent is Judy Ruth. And I really like both of these parents. I'm curious to see what they grow into. But I deflasked these early because I had a contaminated flask. So these guys are small. I left some of this cross in the flask, and the plants that I left in the flask are about 5 inches tall now. So they really need to be deflasked. And I'm excited, and it's along the lines, it's why I really prefer to leave the plants in the flask. I think they grow so much faster in the flask, and you can get them to grow big and fast, and then when you deflask plants that are big, I think that their recovery is just amazing. So I'm really excited to be able to take some of these guys out that are now really huge in flasks, and to see how they do. All right, so that's I just wanted to share that with you as well. All right, that's all I have for today. I just wanted to share with you some of my Dendrobiums and how they're doing, and share some blooms and some upcoming blooms on some of my plants. I'm just really excited. I do want to show you this because, oh my gosh, and I don't want to show you, where is it? So those are seed capsules, but what I want to show you is, oh, where is it? Where is it? Oh, right there. That's a lot of flower buds right there. I'll share that with you later. So they still got a little while to open yet. Not a Dendrobium. Sorry, need to stay on track. All right, get back to the Dendrobiums. That's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did and you want to keep on seeing them, it would help me out if you can click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. All right, that's all I have for today. Again, I hope you enjoyed it, and happy propagating.